We're going to start with the Arrabiata, and it's just a very simple process of a standard kind of pasta sauce. So, you know, what we do is look for some nice flavour, a nice little bit of kick in there, and then of course the mackerel just gives that nice little boost at the end. Texturally, it works beautifully, and from a flavour point of view, it just gives us that little bit of extra in there. And because we're doing this as a dem, then we'll move this slightly faster than I would normally do it. One of the things I always think is quite important when you do things that are tomato based and you start with onions, as I'm sure you'll all agree, is I like to slow down that cooking process. So for me, what I'd do, I'd have this nice and low, a gentle heat, and it's about taking your time with it, really. You know, we all do it too fast. Then the second thing, and add a little bit of garlic into that. I think it's an important ingredient in this. So rather than it just being in there for flavouring, actually utilising it again, this comes back to that slow cook thing. So if you slow that process down, then it means that you start to gently, lightly caramelise the garlic, and you get again that little level of sweetness. So a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, and we cook. So let's assume that we've kind of got to the point where this is now nice and soft. Chilies, if you want, you could actually take out the seeds. As we all know, it's the membrane around the seeds that is what gives the heat to the chili. I quite like the Russian roulette effect. I quite like the fact that you could possibly eat this chili and it would be absolutely fine. It would feel like a slightly spicy pepper. Then the next day you'd have the same size chili and it will actually blow your head off. I like that. So again, slow, gentle cook. And there's a little bit of a process of cooking with your nose on all of this. So the chili is quite acidic, but what you want to do, you want to really start to get it to tingle. So it feels that, you know, there's a slightly different sensation happening. When you can feel it in your nostrils, that's the time when your chili is really starting to soften, so it doesn't feel it's very acrid, but nonetheless it's still happening. So once it gets there, then we add our tomato puree. Now, two ways of doing this. You can do either add the tomato puree after the tomatoes, so it ends up as a thickening agent and it's a slow cook, so it will work. So what you want to do, you want to cook it out. And so once you get this in the pan again, it's cooking out for 6, 7, 8 minutes. And what you're looking to do is get this to the point where it starts to look like the colour of dried blood. And then we slap in a couple of cans of tomatoes. So they go in, and also in go the dried herbs. And again, dried herbs, and there's great things that you can turn the incredibly mundane into something really, really delicious. Just Italian mixed herbs, get them in nice and early again, because this is a long cook. It works really well. If you're going to do this with fresh tomatoes, which also works, then I would then go fresh herbs. So we cook, and we end up with this delicious sauce. There's something quite nice, I think, about the flavour of tinned tomatoes. Okay, so if you either have to let them cook for not very long at all, or for a really long period of time. If you're not going to let them cook for a long time at all, then for me, go the tomato puree first, because then you cook that, so you've got a base in it. If you're going to do a long cook, either way works, because the puree will cook out. So we get our sauce of that. So this is what we end up with. We end up with this lovely, delicious, rich sauce. So you can do either way. Then, of course, what we need are our beautiful mackerel fillets. So this is what we get. If you haven't seen these yet, then the texture is beautiful. So like Alan said, there isn't a load of moisture in there, so you don't get that very watery nature of it. And texturally, it's really beautifully firm. I do really, really like it. It is kind of, you know, that's lovely. You know, if you actually to lay that out on a plate, then you wouldn't actually feel that it had come sort of straight out of a can. And one of the big reasons for not opening that in advance, so you can see that there's very little moisture in there. And what you're getting is fish, and it's steamed first. The texture of this is beautiful. This is one of the things that I really genuinely think is fantastic about it. Bloody fantastic, to be perfectly honest. You know, it doesn't break down. You get this lovely, strong texture in there, and it's got a great texture, great flavour. And because it has that nice kind of dryness to it, it means that as we start kind of folding this through, we're getting great mix of the flavours in there. And again, because of this, it means if you really want to kind of pull a massive load of the fishy flavour through the sauce itself, you can cook this out for quite some time. But I do quite like that separate thing. So, you know, we're getting, one level you're getting all the tomato, then you get the big impact of the mackerel. Call, however you want to do it. And then we're going to add a little bit of torn basil into there. I mean, we're there now. That's it. And the lovely thing, the addition of the basil right at the end there, it's an interesting one. If you were to kind of do a flavour profile in your head, you would say that the combination of mackerel and basil wouldn't be one that works. But what we've got in terms of everything else here, because you've got all of the lovely delicious tomatoey flavour, you could add to this if you wanted to kind of start playing around with it and adding other ingredients to it. So, hiya! Bowl. So you've got your little nest of that, and then of course what we've got are all these lovely, delicious, juicy chunks of mackerel sit alongside it. And there's quite a good hit of chilli in this as well. And again, the chilli really works well with the mackerel. One of the other things that I kind of played around with when we were messing around with stuff, we actually made mackerel tacos, which were really, really fantastic, with a massive load of chilli and a really big load of kind of limey flavour in there. I think a little bit of parmesan on that is beautiful. So there we go. So our first little dish are our grilled mackerel fillets, pasta arrabbiata.